in a couple of ways. Again, to go back to particularly to Indigenous governance, I mean, I have met people who work in the Department of Indigenous Affairs, used to be called the Department of Indian Affairs and Northern Development, who have never actually visited. They spent their whole career, they've never visited an Indigenous community. They're essentially careerist public servants for whom this is a managerial challenge, and this is a stepping stone from here to there. And in the case of just to cut off the Indigenous aspect, I mean, governance of Indigenous people is, as many have pointed out, an all of government affair because of, energy, environment, health, all these different transport, all these different areas touch on the lives of Indigenous people. But if you had much greater measure of self-government, you'd have much less need of minders and bureaucrats running people's lives from Ottawa. I mean, I think you do want to we have to find some way to have a more inclusive and representative public service. And I think Paul would have better ideas than I do if we could start applying the model that Paul uses for his organization to the entire public service. Maybe you'd get somewhere. I mean, part of the whole philosophy of government here is really based on personal ambition and career advancement and hierarchy and ladder climbing, rather than on service and inclusion and in relationship to the community. So you have to redefine that. You even look within the government phone directory or directory of personnel, they say hierarchy and place in a hierarchy. You think you're talking about 13th century feudal society. This is still how, and in many ways, well, we sometimes call it the Mandarin it. Our public service, federal and otherwise, are essentially ancient feudal institutions that are about hierarchy and authority rather than service and connection to the community. So one way of changing it is to change the philosophy of the public service.